We are now live.
Thank you. All right. Welcome to the June 2025, June 25th, 2024 joint meeting of the Executive Committee and the Compensation Subcommittee of the University of Rhode Island Board of Trustees. This meeting is held in person with committee members participating remotely. At this time, Board Secretary Michelle Carreri will conduct a roll call attendance to determine if a quorum is present. Please clearly respond present via WebEx or present in person when your name is called.
Margot Cook.
Present via WebEx.
Armin Sabatoni.
Present via WebEx.
Neil Kerwin.
Present via WebEx.
Robbie Luna.
Present via WebEx.
Courtney Nicolato.
Present via WebEx.
Vahid Onjazieri. Tom Ryan.
Present in person.
Michael Fascitelli. Mark Parlange.
Present
have-
on WebEx.
Perfect. We have a quorum.
Okay. I call this meeting to order. Remember to members, please, reminder to members, please identify yourself when you comment, make a motion, or second a motion. All voting members should clearly state yes or no or abstain on all action items. Committee members using WebEx are required to keep their cameras on. I would like to acknowledge that URI occupies the traditional stomping ground of the Narragansett Nation and the Niantic people. Are there any proposed amendments to our published agenda? Okay, hearing none. The first order of business is approval of the minutes. May I have a motion that the Executive Committee and the Compensation Subcommittee approve the minutes of the February 12, 2024 joint meeting of the Executive Committee and the Compensation Subcommittee?
Brian, I move it. Amen, second.
Thank you. Any discussion? There being no discussion, as for a voice vote, all in favor, please say yes.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Okay, next item on the agenda is a discussion item, and this is really to introduce the topic of the presidential performance review. And so you had an enclosure in your documents that goes through our process and what's expected of us in terms of our annual review. If you recall, we recently did a comprehensive review, and that was in anticipation of the contract, which we voted on last meeting. And so there were two items here. One shows the task list that is expected of us, and one shows the policy that we approved probably a few years ago. So for this instance, there's probably not a lot to discuss in terms of how the process is laid out, unless there are any comments. Okay, hearing none. The next item then is we will go to executive session, where we will discuss a number of items, which I'll lay out, one of which is the president's annual self-assessment and his performance review, which we are doing in accordance with our policy and our goals. So if there are no other comments here, I'm going to move right to the executive session. And I'm going to read a number of items that we're going into executive session for. I'm going to read them through the motion. So may I have a motion that the Compensation Subcommittee convene into executive session for discussion relating to the job performance of President Parlange pursuant to RIGL 42465A1, including the annual self-assessment and performance review and compensation based on merit. President Parlange has been advised that this discussion will take place in executive session, and he will be excused from participating. Mark, we can talk about that once we get into executive session. So is there a motion on that?
This is
This
Courtney,
is
so
Amen, so
moved.
moved. Ryan, second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All right, so there being no discussion, it is for a voice vote. All in favor, please say yes.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, the motion carries. The second motion is that the executive committee is going to convene into executive session to discuss collective bargaining with all the bargaining units pursuant to RAGL 4246582, including discussion of 1-year extension of the collective bargaining agreement between the University of Rhode Island Board of Trustees and the part-time faculty. Let me just see, are there
There's
other?
actually, there are two parts to that, Margot, because the
Yeah.
compensation subcommittee meets without president to discuss job performance, and then the executive committee meets with him in executive session to discuss it with him. So there's actually a second part of that motion that includes the executive committee meeting to discuss with him. So it's the
Okay.
first part of that motion that you skipped over.
Okay, so this particular motion is that the executive committee convenes into executive session to discuss President Parlange's annual self-assessment, performance review, and goals pursuant to RAGL 4246581 and the collective bargaining reason that I stated earlier. So may I have a motion on those two things together for the executive committee?
This is Almond, so moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on that? Okay, there being no discussion, that motion carries. So Alyssa, am I good on
Yes.
that now? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, now we will convene into executive session, which should be about 40 minutes, after which we will reconvene into open session. The live stream will be paused during executive session and we'll resume it once the discussion has ended and we can reconvene in open session. All right, let me just read this. For those committee members participating via WebEx, please confirm by saying yes, or the person is present and are able to hear the executive session discussion at the remote location.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, if you do not automatically move into the breakout session, join the session when prompted on your computer screen by clicking the Join Now button. Remote attendees not participating in the executive session discussion will the WebEx lobby. So I will wait to hear that we're in executive session.
We're not, where's Bob? Do I, is Bob back? Do I need to reach?
Bob is here. How can I help you?
Bob, all right. Bob.
Okay.
Bob, we're back, we're live.
Okay, the executive committee and the compensation subcommittee are now convened into open session. First order of business in open session is a motion to seal the executive session minutes. May I have a motion?
Move it, Tom Ryan.
Robbie Luna, second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? There being no discussion, all in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Okay, next is action items. So I'm going to read these as we go through them. So the first is the collective bargaining with the part-time faculty that we discussed. May I have a motion that the executive committee ratify the tentative collective bargaining agreement between the University of Rhode Island Board of Trustees and the part-time faculty for a 1-year extension through June 30, 2025 of the existing collective bargaining agreement with an across-the-board salary increase and recommendation to the URI Board of Trustees.
This is Almond, so moved.
Robbie Luna, second.
Thank you. Any discussion? As for a voice vote, all in favor, please say yes.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. The second is the request for a 2.5% across the board salary increase for non-union, non-classified employees effective June 30, 2024, and recommendation to the URI Board of Trustees. There was an enclosure that Abby provided. Were there any questions on this?
Say that again.
Okay. So may I have a motion that the executive committee approve a 2.5% across the board salary increase for non-union, non-classified employees effective June 30, 2024, and recommendation to the URI Board of Trustees?
This is Almond, so moved.
I heard Tom,
Second, Almond.
second Armand. Any discussion? There being no discussion, all of those in favor, please say yes.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Okay, the third is the executive committee charter and calendar, which I reviewed and thought it was fine. I didn't see any reason for amendments. Any committee members have any comments? Okay, may I have a motion that the executive committee recommend that the URI Board of Trustees approve amendments to the executive committee charter and calendar as discussed?
Robbie Luna, so moved.
Margot, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, were there any recommended changes? I think you indicated that there were none.
There are none.
Okay, then there wouldn't be a vote if there were no recommended
Okay.
changes to either of them. I
Okay.
think that was there in case, based on
Okay.
discussion, there were any
Got it. So we can
recommendations.
skip the compensation subcommittee charter and calendar too. Got it.
Michelle, do I have that correct?
You do.
Okay.
All right, look at that. Okay, E is compensation subcommittee approval, which is really this group, of an annual bonus to President Parlange for fiscal year ending June 30, 2024, which we discussed. And we will, we are recommending approval of the of $70,000, which is what we discussed in the president's addendum to his contract last year. So may I have a motion that the compensation subcommittee recommend to the board chair an annual salary adjustment? We talked about the annual salary adjustment as well, based on merit, as discussed in executive session.
I move it, Tom Ryan. Second, Almond.
Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, motion carries. The last is the adjournment. May I have a motion to adjourn?
Move it.
She may. Yeah.
Thank
Second.
you.
Robbie Luna, second.
Thank you, Neil. All those in favor, please say yes.
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 See you Friday.
You got
Any
it.
opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, we'll see you. Motion's adjourned. Motion to adjourn is approved, and we will see you Thursday and Friday.
Thank you,
Thanks,
everyone.
everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
So long, everybody.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm gonna exit this screen.